Welcome back to the next episode of Under Oath.
That's right.
I'm your host, attorney Jeff Kaufman. Now, you being my co-host, James Jan, or we like to call
Kokomo.
you Kokomo.
Yeah, there you go.
Kokomo Jan.
Yeah.
People come to me and they'll go, hey, I got tile in my house and it wasn't the shade I remember it when I went to order it. So in the light, it looks different. And I asked him to replace all the tile and he wouldn't. Now he's trying to charge me for it all.
Yeah. You mean the tile you picked out and
tile
you agreed to pay
and now don't like it?
Yeah, now you don't like it?
Yeah. It doesn't work like that. They just don't reuse the tile.
Here's what we should do. If anyone says anything dumb, you get to tell them you can't talk to me for 2 days.
And I'm only bringing this up because
2 days. You can't go.
I know. I hate
2 days. Can't talk to me.
But I'm only bringing this up because I know we have a contractor question.
We do.
And I hate contractor questions.
I
hate it because it seems everyone's like, I don't want to pay this guy.
Yeah.
Now, there are contractors who pull fast ones. But
I've
if
heard
it's in
that.
the contract, so read me the contractor question.
I think you're going to actually like this
Will
question.
I like it?
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm going to like it.
You are.
Okay.
Come on, Jeff. I got a good feeling about this. Legally screwed right here.
All right.
Now, 6 months after I paid a contractor's final invoice for repairs to my home.
6 months later.
6 months later.
Right.
They contacted me saying they made an internal error and undercharged me
I made a boo-boo.
by $10,000.
Wow.
They admitted fault.
Wow.
But now they want me to pay the difference. The final invoice I paid seemed to match the work done. What are my rights here, and do I have to pay
The
them?
final invoice from the one they signed 6 months ago or the new invoice?
How I'm understanding is the final invoice from when they were done
6 months ago.
seemed to match the work that was done.
All right. Now, here's the thing. Anytime a contractor works for you, they normally give you an estimate.
That's how it works.
Okay. Now, if you notice, for example, you're going, okay, he charged me $1,000 and he put $14,000 of tile in here.
Okay.
You don't go, I won the lottery. Okay. Now, it's hard for me to believe that this error, unless it was a huge job.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
It had to be one of these.
It's a renovation.
Let's say it's a $100,000 job or a $200,000 job.
Yeah.
But if you can't tell within $10,000, that's a little iffy.
It is a little iffy.
It's hard to trust. Now, if there's a contract out there that gave that price and the final invoice, you owe me this much. And I'd go, wait a minute, this is under $10,000. Now, if I should be aware of it.
Okay.
If I should be aware of it, then I'm definitely responsible. Or if it's in the contract.
Yes, I was going to say that.
I'm responsible.
If I came to you and said, you're the contractor, I said, hey, I want a job done. You tell me $50,000. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'm basing my budget off 50. Then you give me an invoice for 40. And I know that, okay.
You know how this normally happens?
Yeah.
They have what they call change orders.
Okay.
Okay. And change orders are covered in the contract that if you make any changes to the order, we can add or subtract.
It's a buffer.
Yeah,
that they get.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this has to do with a change order.
Okay.
That you asked for something else and the accountant who was handling the files or somebody at his office didn't put the change order in.
Okay.
Didn't account for it. The truth is if you owe the money, you still owe it.
Okay. All right. If it's within that contract with a change order.
So what happens is just because it was an accounting error doesn't mean you don't owe it.
Okay.
Now, here's some of the problems also on top of that. If you choose to fight it or refuse to pay it, they can lien your property.
The one they just worked.
Now, when people hear the word lien, they go, what does that mean? Okay. When you get a mortgage on your property, for example, let's say I buy a home and I get the mortgage through, let's say, whatever it is. The mortgage company puts a lien on the property, which means that in the records, it shows that there's, let's say, $500,000 owed on this house. So you can't sell it before you pay off the lien.
Correct.
Okay. So let's say you have a mortgage and now you have a mechanics lien, which is what they call these things when somebody does work on your property. Now, if you sell the property, you're going to wind up paying that extra $10,000.
You're going to have to pay that money off.
Now, and that's not to show that the guy won't sue you for what they call breach of contract because he has a contract for this. Now,
okay.
If there's liability attached to it, for example, I was harmed because you didn't give me the total amount of the bill. For some reason, I was able to, my ex-husband or my ex-wife said she's going to pay this bill. And now she's going, I'm not going to pay any extra money now.
Okay.
There are some things that come in and out. But normally, if it's rational and it was a harmless error,
okay,
then you're going to owe that money.
Okay.
So now it sucks. You don't want to have to do this, but most of the time that $10,000 will be the difference between them profiting and losing money on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they did this work and now they're out $5,000.
Because they still
and
have,
I'm not saying, when I say 5,000, I mean, let's say the actual work and everything else cost, $5,000 more than what they charged you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, that $10,000 covers the $5,000 they're in debt plus the $5,000 in profit they make off the
correct.
job. So that's where it comes from. Yes, a mistake was made, but if it's actual and you owe that money, you owe that money.
Gotcha.
But it's going to really deal with the contract and things like that.
Well, let's take it the other way. Let's say that you did pay, you hired this contractor for $50,000. You paid him $50,000 and he comes back. Oh, no, I really meant.
No.
So then he has to kick rocks.
I had an issue in my house, for example. I had one where the guy came back with an extra bill at the end of it. I said, I'm not paying this. We paid the amount. Well, no, it actually cost this and this. I said, well, my contract said this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually won in the courtroom. But I had to hire an attorney and go in and fight it. And people are going to ask, why didn't you go in and represent yourself? Because I'm not a moron.
Could you please tell people that, like, you don't represent yourself?
In TV, where the attorney goes in and represents themselves and does these things, first off, the judge doesn't like you for doing it.
No, he doesn't.
You look like a douche in front of a jury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I might think of myself as the best attorney available, but not to represent myself.
Got it.
Because I'm doing about 50%. I'm harming myself by 50% by doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's also a problem when an attorney represents himself. We get a little passionate. We have the inability to not be the client.
Gotcha.
Attorneys are the worst clients. I'm the worst.
I believe
Never
that.
represent me.
Really?
Never represent
What
me.
happens?
Oh.
What happens to you, Jeff?
I'm too competitive.
Are you really?
I'm too competitive.
You want to win.
Oh, I get so mad. And I've actually taken over.
I was going to ask that. I didn't want to say it, but how
I
do you
made the
not want to
mistake.
take over? How do you not?
It's impossible.
How do you sit there and you don't yell out, I object? Like,
let's say during this trial, I made a lot of comments.
Did you really?
That I shouldn't have made.
You couldn't stay quiet?
The judge in this case kind of liked me.
He knew you.
She knew me.
She knew you.
And she would just like giggle.
Because she knew you were like
when I was getting questioned, I really smacked the hell out of this attorney.
Because you know what you're doing.
And there were a couple times where I said, you really want to open the door to that? I'm asking the questions.
Okay.
Ask it again then.
Okay, all right.
And then smack. Objection, Your Honor. I told him.
I tried.
I told him that he's not going to like this answer.
Uh-huh. All right.
And then the judge said to him, he did tell you. So, yeah, not great. I'm not a great client.
Because you've been there. You've done it. It's like we're not great as comedians. We are not great audience members when we go see a comedy show because we're thinking the whole time, I want to be on stage. I want to be on stage. I want to be performing.
I'm actually okay.
Are you really?
I'm okay
not.
with it.
I'm not good at it.
You know why? Because if I can get something, like I saw Carlos Mencia the other night.
Okay.
And I wanted to watch him. I wanted to see him in action. I wanted to say, okay, well, that's interesting how he did that. It was a master class for me when I see high-end comedians or guys who toured or just were beasts, like a Guy Torrey. Guys like that to go out and see these fantastic comedians. And I know we have brethren who won't be in the room.
No.
They can't handle it.
No.
Like I saw Marlon Wayans.
Yes.
And I wanted to see him because he talked about this long bit that he did. And I watched him do a 30-minute bit. And you could pay me to do 1:30. When I say a bit, when you watch a comedian, he does he might do 1-minute bits, he might do 5-minute bits, he might do 10-minute bits, maybe 15 at the longest. But 30 minutes is a long time to tell one story.
And quality. It is a quality joke at the same time. It pays off to be that long.
People are too tired.
Yes.
They can't sit through a 30-minute bit. I could watch an hour-and-a-half show or a 2-hour show, but I can't watch one thing go 30 minutes. He had me locked in for 30 minutes, and
that speaks to
wow.
That speaks to his talent. It really does, man.
So I don't get jealous of comedians, but I could see. But when I watch an attorney who's doing something wrong, I admit sometimes I go, don't do that.
In your head, you're like,
Now, if he's on the other side of the table, I'm going, knock yourself out.
Is there a point in an actual trial where you're hearing what the other side is saying, and you know what you have, and you say, that's where you lost it.
Normally,
That's the point.
Normally
you
under my
lost it.
breath, it's like,
you know, in your head,
Yeah.
you're like, I know that's where you lost it.
when I see a guy mess up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, oh, here it is. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he just gave me that gift.
Is there a lot of foot and mouth when it comes to lawyers as far as, ooh, you shouldn't have said that?
Stop the questions.
Got it.
Lawyers make that big mistake where they get riled up.
Mm-hmm.
They lose focus sometimes. And then they ask the question they shouldn't ask. Like, I don't open the door to nonsense.
Because you know better.
I know better.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. I don't want to spend 45 minutes cleaning up a bad question.
There you go.
And I'm going to wind up doing that. And I've been in my closing sometimes, and I've had to basically make up for a bad answer that my client gave.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't bad. He didn't mean to.
But he just.
But now that's the whole case, is one answer that he mixed up.
Exactly.
And it screws with you. Well, in the next set, I believe Craig and I are going to argue about some nonsense. Little two angry attorneys arguing. And then I get to interview Michelle Hurd.
That's amazing.
From Picard.
Yes.
SVU, a lot of things.
She's been in everything.
She's been in everything, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so much fun talking to her, and you're going to enjoy it. And, she looks really good.
Gotcha.
She looks good. And I know that sounds bad for a guy to say. She looks good.
We can't say that.
I would love if somebody
we
said I
can't
look
say
good.
that anymore. That someone looks good.
I think you could do it, but not in a weird way. Not in a
You can't rub your hands together. She looks good.
Excellent, Smithers.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that one.
You can't do that anymore.
Well, we're back to our fan favorite part of the podcast. I bring out Craig Lynn, a guy who looks like he benches cars.
The segment is a fan favorite, or I'm a fan favorite?
Maybe both.
I thought I was under the impression that I was a fan favorite. I didn't know it was the segment.
Well, there are only three of us. So, I mean, that and the guest. I mean,
well, as long as I beat somebody.
That's like saying, I love when people say, like, we're best friends. They go, I thought we were best friends. Well, we're best friends too. I said, you can only have one best friend, but a fan favorite could be
No.
multiples.
My daughter has made this very clear. She has multiple best friends. Whoever is visiting the house at the time is her best friend.
That's genius. That guarantees you're always invited to the party.
Yes, we are invited to many a party.
Well, for her,
many a Chuck E. Cheese slide has been ruined by me going down it, because I go to the thing, and believe it or not, I'll wear like knee pads, knee braces.
I'm sorry, what?
Knee braces, not pads, knee braces for my old knees.
Where do you
so
get
that when
these
I
knee
jump
braces?
on the trampoline with the kids, I don't hurt myself. So I show up in shorts.
Do you
knee
have a helmet
braces.
too?
No helmet. I draw the line at the knee braces. That's
all right.
as much as I'm
Could you
willing to-
imagine you show up to a kid's party and you have knee braces on? They go, "Oh, are you injured?" No, I'm just preparing for the future events.
I'm having fun with all the kids. I throw them. They love it.
Do they have pictures of you with
most
these
of them
knee
like-
braces on?
Oh, I'm sure there's pictures.
Yeah,
of me.
I'd rather get hurt.
And some of the dads even come and say, "You know what? I wish I was brave enough, like you, Craig, to wear knee braces and participate with the kids." It's very endearing. That's what they tell me.
You do understand what sarcasm is, right?
Yeah, but I can recognize
I got to
it
tell
too.
you, those knee braces look fantastic.
No, they don't ever say they look great. No one says they look great.
Okay.
They say, "I wish I was brave enough to wear them because I need them," is what their story is typically to me.
Okay. Now, the worst part about going to these parties is when they have these active events. As a personal injury attorney, I guarantee you go, that looks dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's actually a problem now for me. It should be for you, too. Have you noticed that you drive differently?
No.
Like the amount of space you give people, like you let people maybe get into your lane more often than you would. You watch out, especially when you're walking across a door sill. You're going into Publix, you're going into, Target. You make sure to look down and say, is there anything sticking up that's going to cause me to fall?
I see the yellow cones more.
Do you?
The yellow
You
cones,
notice them more?
The wet cones more.
Yeah.
Because then I go, or if I'm in a bathroom that is soaked, I'm going, where are the wet cones?
Yeah.
And I wonder how long.
The yellow cones, are you talking about the ones that are like 4 feet tall and you can see them down? Yeah, that's how they should be. Have you seen the little like 4-inch ones?
Yeah, that's
like they just like an umbrella for a drink.
Like
That's how
kids
big they are.
roller hockey. That's what
right
they are.
there.
They're like roller hockey cones where you go in
I don't
and out,
think that's noticed at all.
A lot of people, when they think about what we do, they go, well, that's silly. And you and I have seen the most ridiculous accidents. But also, we've seen these people really hurt in some of these ridiculous accidents. And we're like going, they come to us, they go, yeah, I've got $100,000 back surgery because I fell in the public's bathroom.
It happens.
And then they go, well, we don't know how long it was wet and how, you should expect a wet bathroom. I don't expect a wet bathroom.
Yeah. I don't know that a lot of people do expect a wet bathroom. I think you might expect that the area where you wash your hands might be wet, but as you're walking to either the urinal or the toilet, I don't think you expect that area to be wet. The
worst part is when somebody falls in what I call the intermediate area. There is a door, and then you're in like this smaller hallway, and then there's another door. And it's somewhere in that smaller hallway, we'll have a client go, yeah,
That's where all the accidents happen, right in that spot.
I was laid out there for about a half hour before somebody else came in. And I don't know if it's actually a half hour or you just feel that's how long it is when you're lying on your back.
Excruciating pain, if you pop a ligament, probably 4 minutes feels like 3 hours.
Oh, man. It's just so crazy. I mean, some of the stuff we deal with. I mean, I have 2 cases in the same Connecticut airport. Is that even possible?
Of course it is. They probably have multiple cases all the time. Each airport probably gets multiple claims a day. Think about how many people are going through these airports.
That's a lot of people. Well, can you do something? I mean, the issues we deal with are obviously common sense. Oh, yeah, the escalator, the big metal piece kicked off and hit the dude in the face. I mean, nobody can expect that.
No, we don't get those easy cases, Jeff.
Yeah.
We never get those easy cases.
I want those easy cases. Those
would be great. I would love for.
I hate arguing with some guy going, hey, let me explain. The elevator doors that close within like 30 seconds, with like 1 second, the guy gets on and it pinballs him out of the elevator. Uh-huh. And then you have to watch these videos. And the guy goes, I remember seeing one for a casino where he goes, well, you see how slow the doors are closing? I said, look at the timestamp. It's less than a second from the time it opened up till this lady got knocked out of the elevator. And he goes, oh yeah.
Mississippi 1.
Mississippi 1, yeah.
You have to be ready to jump out of the elevator as soon as the door opens.
But it seems so silly to do stuff like that. But, I guess that's a point. All right, let's go to the questions of death.
The jar of questions?
Jar of questions.
Several Netflix and Disney Plus subscribers have filed lawsuits claiming that streaming services engage in false advertising when they promote a library of content that they later remove. Customers argue that if they sign up for a service expecting access to certain shows and movies, those should remain available. That's not true. The streaming platforms argue that their terms of service allow them to rotate content at will, and they do. Do streaming services have an obligation to maintain content they're advertised, or do consumers need to accept the ever-changing nature of digital media? This one's easy. We don't even need a show about it, Jeff. The consumers are wrong.
Well, hold on.
Obviously.
I don't know. I think
you don't know.
I think if they advertise something and they're going, for example, let's say Disney really pushes Star Wars. And I buy your service because I love the Star Wars. And the minute I hop on, like 2 days later, all the Star Wars content falls off. Now, isn't that the same thing in a way when you like when your cable's out for 2 days and you go, I want to be paid for that? Go, no, we're not going to pay you for the 2 days your cable is out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sophisticated to know enough. Sophisticated enough. Sophisticated enough.
Nothing makes you look less sophisticated than messing up the pronunciation of the word sophisticated. But yes,
I understand their point. I can understand their point.
Who's they? The customers?
The consumer.
No, they got nothing.
What do you mean they got nothing?
They got nothing.
They obviously got something.
They got nothing.
Got something.
These lawsuits, I'm surprised that Netflix and Disney Plus should countersue these people for wasting their time.
Except in their agreements, probably it has to go to arbitration.
That'd be an example of the consumer using the agreement against them.
Yes.
Oh no, this has to go to arbitration. You can't do a lawsuit and sue me in county or state court. We got to go to where do arbitrations occur?
In like offices, like mediations.
Is there like a grand courthouse of all the arbitrations?
It's not like a big Best Buy arbitration center where we all go in and do our arbitration.
Like a convention center. There's just hundreds of tables laid out.
No, I think you have to go through certain arbitration, have certain groups that you have to go to this specific arbitration certified group.
Complaining about a movie not being on Netflix or Disney Plus is like saying, hey, back in 1974, this dealership advertised that it sells Trans Ams. And I went there yesterday, and they don't sell those Trans Ams anymore. There was nothing in that advertisement back in 1974 that said limited quantities. It didn't say that the offer was expiring soon. You're holding these people to an unbelievable standard for their advertising.
I'm a little upset at Disney Plus. I'll be honest with you.
Well, because they screwed up Star Wars. That's why you're mad
No,
at
no.
Disney.
I did. After.
No, they didn't screw up Star Wars.
After Empire, I was done anyway.
No.
You know, that was the last decent Star Wars movie.
Take it from like 90% of Star Wars fans. Disney ruined Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't trust 90% of the Star Wars fans. They're my people. I understand who they are.
You can be careful.
Hey.
Those are your fans,
hey.
Jeff.
You know why? Because they actually differentiate between the shows that, I can't like Star Trek. Nothing wrong with Star Trek.
I will tell you, I do have a problem. Now, Netflix, Disney, you guys, you want to take shows off, put them on according to your contract, sure, go ahead and do it. I will tell you, I do have a problem with one of these, Hulu. Okay. Hulu has an option. You can do the Hulu with advertising, or you can do the Hulu without advertising.
Right.
And the Hulu without advertising costs more.
Of course it does.
The problem is when you get the Hulu without advertising,
You get the Hulu.
and you pay extra, like I do, there's some shows that still has advertising.
Then you should complain.
That is bullcrap.
So you want to sue?
Not really. I mean,
Why
I
not?
like having Hulu.
Could you imagine this?
I don't want to cancel my
Could
subscription.
you imagine the minute you sue, they go, okay, no
you're
Hulu.
done. You're banned for life. Here's your $26 back for I don't know what.
I want
12
all my
months. There you
gladiator
go.
shows. What happened to all my gladiator
Yeah,
shows?
I will just
No
suffer.
dragons.
I
No
guess I
dragons.
would say it's suffer in silence, but this isn't really exactly silence. So I will just suffer loudly, but still accept it.
Now, I think that's a quality class action. If you pay for something and they don't give it to you, and they know they're not giving it to you.
That's the underpinning of most class actions.
But I'm worn out. I'm worn out by class
All
actions.
those quarter pounder beef, and
Yeah.
it wasn't actually
I'm worn
quarter
out by
pound.
that.
You
The
worn out by
class
class actions?
I'm worn out by certain class actions. There's not enough beef. The beef to
Oh, it's not a
chemical
quarter
ratio
pound.
is not high enough. Now there's a difference. If I buy grade A beef and it's not grade A, and they've been scamming us for years, that's a problem. But they go, it's a burger.
Grinding up pork and put it in there as a filler.
Yeah, it's a burger.
Where was that place that we ate? And I swear to God, they put sawdust in the hamburger. It was a
we can't
very
say it.
expensive
We can't say
restaurant
it.
here in downtown
I don't want to be
Orlando.
sued. I know,
Well,
but no.
You know exactly what
I know
I'm talking
exactly
about. I don't
what you're
remember the
talking
name.
about. I know.
I would say the name.
No.
It was terrible. It was the worst burger I've
Well,
ever
then you
eaten.
don't order it again.
Well, I want to tell everybody else so they don't order the same
Well, we
crap.
haven't been back.
The
I'm sure
slop.
once you eat it the
This is
first time,
horse
you don't
meat.
go back.
It's horse meat
Well,
and
I don't know if
sawdust.
it's horse meat. But some people are into horse meat, like Europeans.
Well, I wasn't. When I ordered the burger, I expected a burger, not a horse meat sawdust sandwich. I'll tell you that.
Horse meat sawdust sandwich.
That's what I got.
Was that on the description
That's
on
what
the
they
menu?
No, that was not. That's what it tasted like. It's not what they. I did not get what I ordered.
It's called the Kentucky Derby. Can we order this one?
Here's the Kentucky. Is this a horseshoe? What's going on?
What is it? Is that a nail?
Do you normally serve this with a horseshoe?
Here's the problem. I had this great barbecue the other day, except there was a huge chicken bone in it.
Well, was it barbecue
was-
chicken?
No, it was. You know how they grind it up and they make like a mix out of it.
Shredded chicken?
Yeah, shredded.
Uh-huh.
Huge bone.
What's weird
My
that
life
didn't get,
passed in front of my eyes as I'm looking at this bone. I'm going,
it's
this
weird
could have
it
killed me.
didn't get ground up.
Could have killed me. Death. Die.
You might have a suit there, yeah.
Death by chicken bone.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people die from chicken bones every year.
Oh, I'm sure it's hundreds, thousands.
I mean, could you imagine?
There's people choke to death all the time.
I don't want to go in a stupid way.
Well, now that you said it,
It's out there.
that is going to be
It's out there.
a video playing on your tombstone. I don't want to go in a stupid way, says Jeff Kaufman,
Yeah.
who parachutes to his death. Yeah, 2028.
God, did I do that?
You
Yeah,
did do
I
that,
did.
yes.
But that was 2 years
That's a
ago.
stupid way to go.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
You know when you do dumb
I don't
things, you
have to
deny they
parachute,
did
but I'm
it?
going to do it just for the hell of it.
I didn't.
I had to do it when I was
It was
in the
a
Army.
veterans event. I'm a veteran.
Yeah, you didn't have to do it.
I kind of did. I was guilted into it.
So you were easily manipulatable.
Peer pressure.
Yes.
I admit it.
So you succumb to
Well, I
peer
can
pressure.
get you to do it. I just.
You could not
I can
get
get you
me to parachute
Well,
ever.
maybe not
in your
parachuting,
life.
but other things. If I said to you, I go, makes you look a little weak. What?
No, I know you're trying to manipulate me. It doesn't work. If I know you're trying to manipulate, it backfires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you
then
think
I'll do the opposite.
I see a look on your face. You go. You're not making me do this. I'm choosing to do this. I know you. So I guess the final decision is this. Walk it off. They cancel your show. It's off the network.
Yeah.
You can always stop your subscription.
How incredibly luxurious is your life that one of the major problems is Netflix or Disney Plus has removed some of the content according to its own rules and ability and contract to do it, but you just don't like it. And you find that something to storm the beaches of Facebook with, all your rants and raves. Like, what is going on in your life? What a privileged, amazing life you're leading if that's your big concern. I hope nobody who watches this is doing that kind of stuff, because now I don't like you.
Well,
even though I'm the fan favorite.
I think I have the answer. Before you sue somebody or decide something, imagine when you're dealing with the problem that you go, I'm going to read the Serenity Prayer. The one that says,
Lord, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change and the strength to change the things that I can. Something like that.
It's the other way, and to notice the difference.
And to know the
now,
difference.
Now, if I say that after this and I can't hold a straight face, then I ain't suing.
Yeah.
Now, if you could have a straight face, go, absolutely. We could do something about this, and we need to storm
the beaches of Facebook.
And take that mountain and take that hill.
The hill of Facebook.
All right, let me talk to Michelle Hurd, and I'll try to get off and not talk about this Disney nonsense. Well, back to Under Oath. Today we have our guest, Michelle Hurd, who's promoting her new movie, Somewhere in Montana. Michelle, can you hear me?
I certainly can. Can you hear me?
I'm good. Are you in LA or are you somewhere else safe?
I'm in LA right now. My hubby's got a gig out here, so we always joke that because I'm a native New Yorker, and so I prefer to be in New York. And they say, well, where are you generally? And we chase the paycheck where our jobs are. So right now, that's LA.
That's always a weird thing, because I get to talk to actors all the time, and it's like, well, the greatest thing about being on a show is you know where you're going to be over a period of time, and it's less of a vagabond existence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a TV. I always say I'm a TV whore. People are like, "Why do you say that?" Because I am. I started on Law and Order SV. Well, actually, I started on New York Undercover, then Players, then Law and Order proper, then Law and Order SVU. So I'm a TV girl. I love the exhausting long hours. I love that 9 months of shooting, and like you love each other, then you hate each other, then you love each other again. But of late, our industry's changed. And so things aren't, there's not as many TV shows being shot as 22 episodes. They're more like 10 episodes. So it takes us like 5 months to shoot something. And then we kind of sit around for a couple of years to wait to see if it gets picked up for a second season. So what ends up happening is you start cobbling together other work. And so I'm doing a lot more films and independent films, which is wonderful. But I will say I'm like Star Trek. I love having my family. I love going to work every single day, and I love having that experience.
I can't even imagine what that would be like. When people talk about in our news right now, we're dealing with, celebrities who don't get along on sets, and it becomes, hundreds of $1 million lawsuits. I mean, without mentioning any names, I mean, how difficult is it to be on a set and on a show for years and have a problem with somebody?
Well, that is the worst. I mean, I've done some, we're not going to say names.
No, absolutely not.
I've definitely been on some shows where it's really challenging on set, and unfortunately, it's like one bad apple. Unfortunately, as soon as that sort of toxic sort of energy happens, it annoyingly spreads. It may take a while, but it generally is the beginning of the downfall. So that's why, doing something like Somewhere in Montana, the film that was shot, I just shot in Polson, Montana. We became a family. We all got together. You can see it on the screen, just like Somewhere in Anyone But You, the film I shot in Australia with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. We all just got together. We got along so well. We wanted to create something fun. And, Star Trek, that's a family I mean, those guys have been around. Gene Roddenberry wrote stories 60 years ago, and we're all still watching these stories. And our third season, when we brought all those iconic actors from Next Gen, they've known each other for decades. And they all still get along. I'll tell you, like there was a moment I was shooting a different scene on a different soundstage, and I knew that all of them were going to be shooting the next scene, on the next soundstage. So as soon as we, finished my scene, I didn't change my clothes. I literally run over to the next soundstage because I know they're rehearsing, and I open the door, and because I'm like everybody else, it blows my mind because I open the door and there's Patrick Stewart and Michael Dorn and Brent Spiner and LeVar Burton and Gates McFadden and Marina Sirtis, and you're just like, that's all those people. That's all. And you think like they're going to be sort of like, Sir Laurence Olivier, they're all sort of standing there. They're like giving each other noogies and wedgies. You know what I mean? Like they're like a bunch of high school students because they're just kids. They love each other. They've known each other for decades. So there's something about that kind of creating a family. I will say the hardest thing, because my husband is an actor as well, is being being with an actor. We spend an enormous amount of time apart because our jobs are shot in different places, and it's a crazy existence to sort of go. I've been in more hotels than in my home with my husband, and it's a crazy vocation.
Now, you just mentioned something about Next Generation. I write comic books. I'm on the road. I've met a lot of these people. I've had dinner with a lot. And they always talk about how they're such a tight family.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine you coming into a show and you're going, okay, are they going to open me up to this great family? Am I now one of them? Is it going to be, or is it going to be I watch from a distance and go, wow, this seems cool. I wish I was part of this.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have to say, like my very first scene in Star Trek Picard, I'm holding a huge phaser to Sir Patrick Stewart, and I'm telling him to bugger off, and I literally was like, oh my God, people are going to hate me. They're going to make, effigies of me and, like burn me at the stake. But Patrick Stewart was phenomenal. He's like, no, darling, they're going to love you. Push back on me hard. And I was just like, okay. And it's, it's you, as a person on Star Trek, going to my very first Comic-Con, not knowing what to expect, I was welcomed with such open arms and such huge hearts. And I've been doing Comic-Cons now for the last few years, and every single time, trekkers come up, and especially because my character is a recovering addict, they share stories and are so vulnerable and so open and are so like-minded. It's an amazing thing, and I'm so honored to be part of that family now. I'm part of the family.
Now, a lot of people don't realize how much it's a very lucrative thing when you're on a show like Star Trek now, because you make a lot of money at conventions. You go there, you sign merch, you have your own things. Conventions pay a lot of money to show up, and it becomes a part of your career now. You're going, wait a minute, this is part of my financial portfolio, is going to Albuquerque, signing pictures of me, in Star Trek.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because first I wanted to let you guys know it's not as much money as you think, but it is some money. But it was one of the things, like during the strike, normally you would not do cons, but because I was on Star Trek and Sean Astin was one of the other actors in the negotiating committee, as part of the negotiating committee, we both said, no, wait, we have to carve out cons. We can't strike cons. And the reason is, one, because our people come to see the actors. It's not coming to see a studio or a streaming platform. It's to come to see the actors. But also because a lot of our mature actors who don't have any other jobs, and no longer have residuals. The residuals don't pay anymore. This is their only income. It literally is. So I do encourage people to continue to do that. And I say that honestly about that. It's not tons and tons of money. Sure, you can get like big movie stars, big movie stars that get big money. But the worker bees, like everybody else who's on television, we don't get big money. So please do encourage people to go to those cons and to support your older actors.
I love that about conventions, and I've always made that a habit. Even if I also write comic books, so I'll be working the floor a lot, and I don't get around to go to see all the celebrities sometimes. But like I said, I have relationships with a lot of them, and I see how hard they travel, and this is their occupation now. And the hours are brutal. And I remember Stan Lee in his last years. I mean, they have him out there for like 12 hours, and he
No.
can't. It was just painful.
Yeah.
But I also know how important that is to be able to pay for their families and things like that. And
Yeah.
now you're part of this world. So when you show up, fans are tough because they want to come to you with questions about the episodes you're in. You're going, yeah, I didn't write that.
It's true. It's true. Well, the hardest thing is that they come with questions about episodes on shows that you're not on and things from, the past. I used to, our first season, we did a lot of press tour, and an actor named Evan Evangora, who played Elnor with me on the first season. He's a Trekkie-like savant, and I used to love doing any panel with him because somebody would ask me some random question. I'm like, that is such a good question, Evan, because I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, they come up with questions about, technical stuff, languages, and I do my very best, but I'm not as learned as some Trekkers.
I was on a panel with Garrett from Voyager,
Oh, yeah.
and people are just so brutal. And Garrett,
no.
Garrett I know he doesn't remember half of his episodes because I looked over at one time. I said, "Were you even on that show?" And he just kind of looked at me and he like smiles at me because there's no way you can remember all the dialogue.
No way.
It always cuts me up. But the new movie you're in. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like a commentary maybe on Rust, about this movie that was shot, and it feels a little like that. And how far off am I?
No. Well, first, this was written years before, which is interesting.
Look at some foreshadowing stuff you guys are doing.
But if you think about it, I mean, not to, but there have been terrible situations that happened in the past. If we think of Brandon Lee, please, right? There's been quite a few, unfortunately, those situations, and then of course Rust. But that's one of the things that I thought when I saw it again, because we had a premiere at Palm Springs last week. How timely it is on a bunch of levels, right? That situation, absolutely. Also, just the kind of thing of, you have Hollywood, a writer-director coming into Polson, Montana, and talking to this man who has this 500-acre ranch and saying, I need to rent your space. The Montana rancher does not like this, Hollywood, elite person at all. And they clash. They absolutely clash. But they both need each other for their own survival. He needs the money to pay off his debt. He needs this location to finish his film, and they have to figure out how to navigate and to work that out. It's also about, love and loss and learning how to move on and the fragility of life. It really, I sat back there watching that last week going, wow, this movie is so important right now. It also hits the heart in a way that I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to it. But yeah, it's a interesting time that they had written that, and then we had the circumstances that happened in Rust happen.
I'm also a lawyer, so I can appreciate, and a creator, so I understand there's a line between my creative vision and people's safety on sets. And people don't understand. Well, you could have done those. You could have done those gunshots in post. You could do so many things now. You don't have to use blanks. You don't have to use any of this stuff now. But I understand how directors go, no, I want this. I want this moment. How scary is it for you sometimes when they ask you to do something and you're going, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this. This is not within my will well.
Yeah, well, first of all, that is a really important thing. Like everybody needs to really understand what's in their wheel well. Saying, yes, I can do that. And then realizing I can't do that. It's so important. But one of the things that I'm really strident about, any weapon, even on Star Trek, which we have phasers that are not real, but any weapon that is on set, there's always a safety check, and like the armorer will basically say, "Here's the gun. It's a cold gun, meaning there's nothing, there's no no bullets or whatever." And he says, "Does anybody want to check this out?" Always take that opportunity. Always, even if you're the only one going, "I'd like to see it." Say, "I'd like to see it," because then if you look at it, maybe other actors will go, "Okay," because you want to make sure that your safety, you take care of your safety on the situation. We're doing so much better now. I mean, nobody wants those situations to happen. Nobody wants them to happen. So there's a lot more safeguards taken care of. But, everybody needs to be much more conscientious and look out for yourself and everybody around you.
My argument on that case was very pro actor in the sense that, listen, I was on Miami Vice a long time ago. They used to give us guns that were soldered and everything else. There's no way a live round should ever be on a set. It's
Ever.
impossible for a live round to be on a set. So
Thank
when I
you.
heard that, I'm going, what? This had to be somebody who just was so incompetent or somebody who wanted to do something bad.
Said it.
I mean, it's crazy to think that a live round could be on a set. So when I saw that, they're going, "Oh well, Alec Baldwin." I'm going, "Hold on, that's not fair."
Yeah, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have done. I mean, you've been on sets. It's not like an actor walks on with weapons. We don't have the weapons. The weapons are on the armorer's set. Trick. Period. We don't. You're not allowed to go over and touch it. You're supposed to take it from the armorer themselves. There's never supposed to be a moment where you are, take the gun and walk off and have it to yourself. It's as you just said. I don't want to relitigate the whole thing.
It's crazy. It's insane. And I've had this moment. I said, you don't. As a lawyer, I understand there's negligent issues. There's a lot of things, but you don't get how hard it would. These guns are never supposed to be fired. These are prop guns. These
prop
aren't
guns. Prop guns.
Nobody. Hey, we're bored. Let's take the guns off set and shoot some. Nobody does that.
Nobody does that, and that's what happened on that set.
It seems so crazy to me. And now you're doing this film, and when you get offered this role, and I know the idea is, hey, listen, this is a good role, everything else like that. Is the idea, well, I know this isn't the movie, but will it bring up bad feelings? Will it hurt people's feelings? And that's always tough to make choices like that.
Yeah, there was a discussion about it. Brandon talked about it because he tried to figure out, should I change this? Should I adjust because of what has happened? And the truth is that this happened. It happened, and we have to tell that story and remind people that stuff does happen. And we didn't take advantage of that moment. It was already in the script. We already, shot it. But yeah, we were all very, very much sensitive to it. Very much sensitive to it.
Now, when I get to talk to an actor who's been on, let's say, crime dramas, people don't understand. You're an actor. You're trying to get into the part. But, that's tough what you had to do. Law and Order SVU, the topics are so brutal.
Oh, my God.
I talk to actors. I said, do they stick with you some nights? Were you like, hey, listen, I love the show, but I'm glad that this stuff is off me now, that every show isn't about, I'm waking up and there's another assault or something else I have to deal with.
Yeah, no, I loved Law and Order and loved SVU, and I love working with Dick Wolf. But yes, we got an opportunity to work with real sex crimes detectives, and some of the questions I asked them was, how do you go home? What do you do? How do you let this go? And they say they have to compartmentalize, that they have to sort of go, this is work. And I have to be really strident about what happens at work, and then I'm not going to think about it when I get home, because if I do, I have no release. As an actor, it's quite interesting because I took that information in. I'm like, gotcha. As an actor, we have to ingest as much information so that we can try to make it as authentic as we can. So we're actually taking it home to work on. So, because ripped from the headlines, and sadly, there's so many headlines that we can continually do. Every script, was like, oh, this is a pedophile, this is a necrophiliac, this is a rapist, this is, it is a lot. I joke that, I have this weird thing now that when I go to, because I do a lot of Comic-Con, so I'm spending a lot of time in hotel rooms. I go into a hotel room, and one of the first things I put on is true crimes. It's the weirdest thing, because now it's become this, I'm not going to say comfort thing, but it's something that intrigues me, I get into a hotel room, I double lock, put my suitcase against the door, and then I turn the thing on. I'm like, I see. And then I'm not taking notes to get away with a crime, but I am taking notes to keep myself out of a crime.
I remember Marina telling me that if I ever want, I watch a lot of murder shows, so I could absolutely get away with it if I had to.
Is that what Marina said?
Yeah, she said I could absolutely get away with a homicide. And I was laughing so hard because she's such a nice person.
Well, I love Marina, but I believe her. I believe her. If anybody's could get away with something, it would be Marina.
I have a last question, because one of the things that the strike dealt with was AI and people scanning the stuff. But one thing it didn't say, and as a lawyer, I know this, it didn't give away your rights not to sell your AI, not to be able to scan yourself. So like artists who are selling their catalogs for hundreds of millions of dollars. I know we are not far away from, let's say a major family, say a family once somebody's dead, going, yes, we will sell the rights to this person for 100 million, 200 million, 300 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an asset you have. And when you're gone, you're going, well, I know I don't want to look silly, but it'll take care of my family for years. I mean, how difficult is that when you think about that?
Oh, that's, there's a clause that we created in SAG-AFTRA where our artists can go online and actually give permission or not to their estate, to the people who they left behind, to utilize their digital double. So we're actually already tackling that kind of thing. And I mean, it's tricky, right? It's a very strange thing. As long as we remember that we still need people to tell those stories, then we're okay. If we start balancing it more with AI and not people, I think we're in trouble. I say this all the time. I'm a native New Yorker. I remember toll booth operators. Booth operators. That was a job. That was a job somebody went to. I do this as well. When I go to the bank or the supermarket, I do it as well. I go to my self-checkout because I want to just get it done faster. But those are people's jobs, right? Those are jobs. So the more that we go into the quick fix, and it's easy. And if you think about with AI, so we're shooting a movie, we're doing editing now, and something's like my makeup's messed up or something. They're like, let's just fix it. So now they can now fix all that stuff. Yes, that's great, but what if they didn't like my performance? But that was the performance I chose. They're like, what? Let's just adjust her eyes so it doesn't look like she's crying. Let's make her laugh instead of whatever. And so I think we really need to be careful. One of the things I'm really proud of is that we were able to get in our contracts, consent, which means you can give them pages of what you will and will not do, compensation, which you negotiate your fee, as well as pension and health contributions. Now, DC, our government is looking into those sort of things for safeguards, because for people, there's no safeguards. That's for us in our acting world, in our acting contract. Other than that, there are no safeguards when it comes to digital doubles and deep fakes. And we got to really be careful because that stuff can be made by anybody.
Yeah, it's here. I want to thank you again for being here, Michelle. I hope you're having a good time in LA. You're breathing okay. Hopefully you're not around the issues. And it was great talking to you, okay?
Really nice talking to you as well. Thank you so much.
Well, that wraps up today's show. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to my two co-hosts, my good friend, professional comedian James John, and my law partner, Craig Lind. This show is sponsored by Kaufman Lind. If you or someone you know has been in an accident, contact us at 407-500-JEFF or 407-500-5333 for a free consultation, or visit us at whenyouneedus.com.